I've been asked to say a few words about the role of the Canadian Mental Health Association's Mental Health Work Strategy, particularly as it relates to the new standard. Next slide, please, Doc 64. Mental Health Works started as basically many years ago as a lunch and learn kind of offering for raising awareness about mental health in the workplace, and has evolved into a much broader service platform that offers assistance, support, training and education to individuals, families, employers and unions with regard to understanding and preventing and managing and treating mental illness and mental disability and mental injury in the workplace. It's also very much concerned about the promotion of mental health in the workplace. And here you'll see that there's the contact information for Mental Health Works if you wish to pursue it. Next slide, please. So the service is, as I said, multimodal. You can go online and search the materials yourself. There are live workshops and training sessions, on-site consultations, webinars, and direct and training of trainers modalities. And they go from everything from a 1-hour session to a 5-day program. Next slide, please. So the one thing it doesn't do is offer direct counselling to individuals in distress, and there is, although there is a bit of overlap with the mental health first aid that Sapna was talking about at that level. Primarily it helps employers to learn how to relate more effectively to employees who have mental health issues or may be thought to have mental health issues, and to avoid creating situations that negatively affect employee mental health. And it helps boards of directors to appreciate their new and emerging responsibilities under the law and the new standard. And it helps teams that are struggling to function in ways that promote rather than defeat the mental health of their members. Next slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about services and training that specifically do support the standard. Meet the Standard is a 5-session, each session being half-day program that really unpacks the standard. And so that's literally 5 half-days. You can imagine what constraints Sapna was under talking about the standard in half an hour, because this can really is a very elastic kind of training challenge that in fact to really, and in fact Introduction to Psychological Health and Safety, which is another offering, basically goes into the sorts of things that I was saying before Sapna spoke about the understandings that underlie this new concept of psychological health and safety, because we find that you have to really talk and talk again about the concepts that underlie it. They're not sometimes not what they seem to be, and sometimes require a great deal of unpacking and discussion and debate. Governing psychological safety and health is about basically is directed toward boards of directors. I'll talk about that in a minute. Vital Workplace is directed toward teams that may be struggling, and consulting is what it sounds like, which is basically helping employers walk through the process of implementing the standard. Next slide, please, Doc. So I'll talk just very briefly about 2 examples. The governing psychological safety and health. Sapna talked about the importance of governance, and this is basically picking up that challenge. And if I could go into the next slide, please, 69. Basically it's a 1-hour introductory session for boards of directors and other corporate leaders that goes into the new corporate risk that's represented by mental injury in the workplace, and talks about the responsibilities and duties that fall on directors for protecting the mental health of employees, whether they adopt the standard or not, because the law has evolved so that it's actually pushing more up toward the liability for mental injuries, pushing more toward the boardroom than it ever was before, not only in occupational health and safety generally, but specifically in mental injury. And it also talks about how directors can advantage themselves and their organizations by promoting psychological safety. In other words, what's in it for your organization, and obviously talks about how the standard can help them advance that project. Next slide, please, Doc. Going from the head to the toes of the organization, Vital Workplace is basically a team-oriented process. I think of it as the standard in action at the team level, because although the standard talks about the importance of culture, transforming culture of a workplace, the tools that are available for that are far and few between, except at a commonsensical level. Vital Workplace is a program, is still a prototype program that's been designed to improve psychological health and safety in teams, and thereby to help transform culture from the bottom up. And it facilitates an examination by team members of the extent to which they affect one another's mental health. And it introduces this tool called the Neighbour at Work concept, which is a particularly important central concept in the program that builds greater awareness, understanding, and carefulness in the team. I won't go into what those terms mean, but they are absolutely central to the concept of group emotional intelligence, and they help the group to work through what it is they can do to be more careful of one another. Next slide, please, Doc. So it's basically the process which ignites with an initial survey to help them set goals and monitor their progress. It's implemented through a half-day or sometimes a one-day workshop that ends with a plan to improve their capacities in the areas of awareness, understanding, and carefulness. And there has been an evaluation of Vital Workplace. Actually, there have been two. One of a prototype, which is called the Neighbour at Work Initiative, and another of Vital Workplaces that now exists. It has been found to be effective in a number of in the ways in which it was intended. So it is a very important aspect of the offerings that Mental Health Works has right now. I think Susan may have more to say about this, so I will pass it now over to her. Thank you very much.